something new, something that I'd never heard of, something that could help me. And so the next step was getting that prescription for naltrexone. And so I just went to my doctor, my physician, and I told her that I needed some help. I wanted to quit drinking my alcohol.
Welcome, everybody. It's Katie with Thrive Alcohol Recovery, and I'm really excited today to bring Janet to you guys, who is a Sinclair Method success story. And she was on the method for a couple of years, and she's been off of it for a couple of years because she reached extinction and is alcohol free. And you also are a lot of other things. You're a teacher and you're a parent, which I want to talk to you about because I know there's lots of parents out there on TSM. So we are going to dive into your story today, and I'm so excited to learn more about it. And just want to, first of all, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. I'm excited. So I started the Sinclair Method in 2019. And I just wanted to give you a little background of where I'm coming from. I grew up in a really small town in California, and my parents were married for 50 years. I met my high school sweetheart when I was 15, and we stuck together for 30 years. We did everything together, went to college, graduated, both got our careers. We're both teachers. We got married, bought a house, had 3 amazing kids who are now 10, 15, and 20. We just did everything right. And I grew up thinking that, there was one person out there for me and I needed to find that person. And so at 15, I thought that was the guy. And so we did everything together, and I felt like it just wasn't what I expected life to be. And so we got stuck in the routine, like the rut of being married. And it started to where, like, once a week he just wouldn't come home, and he'd go to the bar. And so I would be home doing the chores, cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids. And I just felt ditched. I felt like he just ditched me. He was checking out. And, once a week turned into, pretty soon it was every day. And my coping mechanism was a glass of red wine. I felt like I deserved it. I'm like, he's out there hanging out the bar, having fun or whatever, and I'm stuck at home, and I deserve this. And so it just started to increase, and years would roll by. And so after, let's see, I started to have a lot of doubt, like wondering, where is he? Why isn't he coming home? Why doesn't he want to hang out with the family? And I just started to feel like the victim. And I didn't want to feel like that anymore. And I didn't want my kids to feel like that. And so I started to, I was drinking every single day. And so I would try and quit and cut back, on my own, but I would always talk myself back into it. I'd always say, come on, you deserve this. You're working hard. You're the only, solid parent. You need to, you got this. You have your wine. You're good. But I wasn't good. And so I did some research, and by research, I mean, I Googled anything I could to, alternative to AA, anything that I could, Naked Mind, anything I could get my hands onto. And I stumbled across Claudia Christensen, One Little Pill. And then I was like totally hooked and interested, and I watched it, and watched all kinds of YouTube videos and just did a bunch of my own research because I knew I needed something new, something that I'd never heard of, something that could help me. And so the next step was getting that prescription for naltrexone. And so I just went to my doctor, my physician, and I told her that I needed some help. I wanted to quit drinking my alcohol. And I also brought with me, I printed off, I forget which website it was on, but it was like for the doctor to explain to the doctor what TSM was. And so I brought my paperwork and I'm like, I've researched this. I had a therapist at the time. I told her about it. And so I had some like backup that, this is legit. And so yeah, she prescribed the naltrexone to me, but she prescribed it as just, take it once a day for your cravings. And I told her, I said, well, I'm going to prescribe it to myself using the Sinclair method. And so that was really exciting. And when I first started, I would just write everything down, like what time I took it, wait that hour, drink. And I would do that and do that. And I think like maybe 3 months in, I was thinking, oh, man, it's not working, but why not? So I just kept at it. And so around, let's see, probably a year in or so, I was thinking, all right, it's not working for me. Maybe I should just stop. But then I thought, well, what do I got to lose? I'm still going to be drinking. Why not just take the pill an hour before and just see what happens? And so and I got to the point, I'm a teacher. So we get out of school at 3. And by 2 o'clock, I would bring the naltrexone with me to work and I would take it at 2. So I knew right when I got home at 3 o'clock, I could have that glass of wine. And I was very consistent. Like I didn't go anywhere without the naltrexone. I made sure that I waited that hour. Sometimes, like eventually it got to the point where I would take it and then I would forget to drink. And I'd be like, oh, I need to at least have a sip, a swallow, a little something, because I've already taken the pill and I want this session to count. And so that was kind of like I don't know, that was weird for my brain to get over, but I just stuck with it. And so let's see. After a year, well, okay. And then so my husband was struggling with his own addictions. And so he was not on board with me being on TSM. He did not like it. He said, it's changing you. He thought the naltrexone was changing me somehow. And I guess it was slightly. I wasn't interested in drinking as much. But he was still on his train. And so he would hide my pills, my naltrexone. He would smash them up and like put them out on the counter and be like, where's my Janet? Like, and just
I
awful
am like
stuff.
shocked at that. Wow.
Right?
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
weird. And so I would have to go back to my doctor and say, my husband's doing this. And she was getting to the point like, come on, I can't keep giving. So I would have to hide it. And he half the time didn't even know that I was continuing with TSM. I would just continue taking my pill 1 hour and drink with him. And yeah. And so it got to the point where he was drinking about I think they call it a handle, but a big jug of vodka a day. And he was on cocaine as well, and about 1 gram a day. And so finally I got him to get in the car. I took him to the emergency room to go to rehab. And I told him, there's got to be a change. We got to do something. And he said, well, I think you're the one that should be going to rehab. I don't think you're the one that should be. And something just like, I don't know if it pissed me off or it scared me or what, but something switched. And that was October 3rd of 2021 when I dropped him off that day. And I haven't drank since then.
Wow. I am just
Yeah.
like stunned at that, like just trying to put myself in your shoes of trying to be on this medicine to drink less. But I was with someone who was also a very heavy drinker in my past, and that's what we did together. And so when
Right.
I would try to take breaks, it was like not helpful for the relationship. So I just relate, like, in my own way, what you went through with that. Just wow. So,
Yeah.
uh, so when you took him to rehab, how long had you been on TSM? And just hearing you talk, it sounds like you started it a few months in, you were like, I don't know if this is working, but I've got nothing to lose. Like, I'm going to drink anyway. But
Right.
then you started to see changes like a year in or more where you would take naltrexone and just be like, I don't really feel like drinking now, which happens for a lot of us.
Right.
So from the time you stopped drinking, sort of by that very shocking moment that day, how long were you on the method and kind of what was that experience like
I
for
was
you?
on it for just about 2 years when I quit, when this switch hit. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what
Because I in 2019 and my sober date is October 3rd, 2021.
okay.
Yeah.
And so when you started TSM, you were talking about how you were drinking, I think you said daily, like wine. So what did it look like a couple years in? Like how had your drinking changed, I guess, after being on it for 2
Well,
years?
I, it's pretty weird, but I didn't have any alcohol-free days. I pretty much drank every single day. Took the pill and drank every single day up until that point, which I saw people with their graphs and stuff, and I'm like, man, why isn't it happening like that for me? But I just stuck with it, and I felt like this was my last resort. I needed to stick with it and just see what happened.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you're speaking to that because I know people personally who have been on the method for more than a year and have had hardly any or if any alcohol-free days. And I imagine that that can be very discouraging. They've seen reduction, but they like the thought of an alcohol-free day is still very
Yeah.
difficult. So, is that what it was like for you? Like, did you see a change in your drinking, but it was just hard to have the alcohol-free days?
Um, well, yeah, I would take my pill, wait the hour, and then I would start drinking like in a social gathering and stuff, but I would forget that I was drinking. Where other people would keep on, they would do, which I used to do, like, drink on into midnight, whatever, until you pass out. I would forget about my drink. So I would see it, decrease where instead of having five all night, I would just have, one beer or something. Yeah.
Which is huge. Like, even though you were still drinking
Uh,
regularly, it's like you weren't, sounds like you weren't like blacking out drinking and getting super
no,
drunk the
no.
longer you were on it.
Yeah. I would have my days where I would still be hungover and like, but I just would I would just keep at it.
So that
Yeah.
day that you took him to rehab and he said something that really struck you, and that was like a moment where you maybe I don't did you decide in that moment like, okay, I'm never drinking again, or what was that
Yeah.
like for you?
Yeah. I just, like I said, I don't know if it pissed me off or scared me, like who would take care of the kids if I did have to go to rehab? Who, like, and I just knew that I needed to step I now was the time. Now is the time. And I did a bunch of research about, okay, now that I'm sober and I don't, what do I need? What does my body need to replenish all the damage that I've done with all this drinking? because I'd been a drinker since I was 15. So it was a good, 25, 30 years of drinking. And so I did research with that, and I discovered NAD, I think is the abbreviation of it, NAD. And so I got a multivitamin from LifeVantage that has that in there. And it's supposed to help with addiction and all this. And I knew I needed that, something was missing, that I needed whatever boost or help that I needed to stay sober. I was going to try it. I was going to take it. And so, yeah, I started taking the NAD, and I think that really helped with my cravings, with my mind, rebuilding my brain, replenishing all the things that my body was missing from the alcohol.
Which I think is so important because it's, common knowledge to most of us that when you drink excessively over a long period of time, it certainly depletes the body of key nutrients. And so
Yeah.
there's several supplements. I've heard of that one. And so it's good to hear that that was helpful for you.
Yeah.
Did you track your drinks on the method at all? I'm just curious.
At the very beginning, I did.
Yeah.
Like, I would say the first maybe 2 months I did. And then it was just like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then my husband, he only stayed in rehab for 28 days, and he wanted to come back home. And I was afraid that if I let him back in, that routine would just start back up, that I would want to, drink, that he would be drinking. And so he moved in with his mom, and we went to therapy. We were trying to make it work, and it was just to the point where I realized that, he's not my one. I am my one. I need to take care of me. I need to love me. Especially for my kids, that they can see a happy, energetic mom, supportive mom, that they would have at least one, solid parent. So
Yeah.
I ended up getting a divorce. And through this time, my father passed away. I almost lost my house. He wanted to sell the family home. And I ended up getting enough money to buy him out. So me and the kids could stay in the house. And I just went through what I call a midlife crisis. I had to take a leave of absence from work while I was going through the divorce, while I was getting sober. And, it was just a real rough time in my life. And I'm so thankful that I stayed sober, because I know if I would have gone through that and drinking, that it just would have brought me down. So I'm just so thankful that I stuck with it, even after that year when I was like, okay, maybe it's not for me, oh well. But I had that naltrexone. I'm like, why would I not? If I'm going to drink anyways, why not? And now looking back, I'm proud of myself that I believed in it, and I stuck with it. Yeah.
I know. And absolutely, because it's tempting to stop, especially if you're not seeing like the results that other people are seeing, or you're expecting it to work better. It's like the easy thing is to stop.
Like,
Yeah.
I had never taken any medicine consistently for that long. I was like, oh no, what if it's like messing up my liver? And I'm like, what am I talking of? Here I've been drinking for 25 years, and now I'm worried about my liver. So yeah, I'm just really glad I stuck with it.
So you said something earlier I wanted to ask you, because you said you tried to, fix your drinking before, and you would always talk yourself back into it. But this time, despite the fact that you were going through like a midlife crisis and everything around you was just very difficult, Do you think the naltrexone helped you stay sober? Like, do you feel like you reached the end goal of the extinction point where you felt like, you weren't craving alcohol as much anymore? Or how do you think the naltrexone helped you and TSM helped you, not only reduce your drinking, but where you are today?
It helped so much. It was like, how do I explain it? It was almost like a life jacket I put on. It just like helped me know that it's going to be okay. I'm going to get better. And the constant thought of, oh, you need to drink, just disappeared. It was like I can go out now and it's no, I still have my, like a couple pills of naltrexone left, like my little safety just in case. I don't know if I freak out and decide, but I don't think about it. I don't want it. I think it's kind of gross now. I try not to, when I go out, I even go to concerts and stuff and everybody's drinking, it seems like, but I try not to be the, you're drinking poison, like that's hurting you. And on the outside now looking in, it's just like, wow, you don't even know what's on the other side, how much better your life can be sober. Where before, I mean, everything revolved around drinking. Birthday party, weekend, Friday, concerts, Christmas, Thanksgiving, that's how I grew up. Everybody drank alcohol. It's your 21st birthday. Woohoo! The parents are buying the kids alcohol. It was just in society, it's been drilled into us that that's the normal, you know, way to go. And I did read, I can't think of the name of the book, but they gave the analogy of like a fly in a fly trap or something, and how everybody can get addicted to alcohol. It's just where you're at in your addiction. And that really hit home. Like it made me feel like, okay, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not suffering from alcoholism. It's just I'm addicted to this substance that's addictive to everybody, and I need to find a way out. And yeah, read a lot, did a lot of research, watched a lot of YouTube videos, watched a lot of your stuff, and just did a lot of Googling. And I did a little bit of therapy, but not much. It was a lot of my own. I needed to believe it. I needed to learn it and read it and live it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I read that book. Is it This Naked Mind? I recall her talking about
Yeah.
the fly trap. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. And the way you described it, just that preoccupation of thinking about drinking is like one of the great miracles of naltrexone and TSM, and that just quieting down, like, even though there might be life's challenges, like everything you've gone through, like normally with an addicted brain, I feel like that would be a perfect reason to just screw it. I'm going to have a drink. I deserve it. Like you said earlier, or I need it. I'm going through this or that. But when that craving is quieted and you're just not like obsessed with the thought of drinking anymore, it's almost like, meh, it doesn't really appeal. I'm going to like get through this in another way. Is that how it was for you?
Yes, it was such a relief. And it like built, I was afraid that it would hinder my confidence. Like I wouldn't want to go out and, talk to people and stuff because I was sober. And I thought that alcohol was giving me, like, making me funny and making me, oh, look, she's dancing because she's drunk. Well, really, I have more fun now than I've ever had. And so it's just really boosted my confidence, my self-esteem. And I just feel like I have a broader picture of the world and people. Yeah.
It's so well said. And it's amazing to me. I don't know about you, but I just feel like I didn't realize how much alcohol had squashed my self-confidence. And I was living in this narrow path of just thinking about my next drink and like, is there going to be alcohol there? What kind
Right.
of alcohol? Do I need to bring alcohol? It's like that was my
Yeah.
whole world. And like you said,
That
it just opens
number
up.
one. That was the number one. It was like, oh, I'm going to a birthday party. Okay, what drink am I going to bring? Okay, oh, we're going camping. All right, get the ice chest. It was like everything evolved around when am I going to drink? What am I going to drink? What am I going to drink it in? Um, yeah, who am I going to take shots with? And when that part of it disappeared, it was just like, oh, yes, this is what I've been working towards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so true. It's, yeah, that's like freedom. It really is
it is.
freedom.
It is. It's
So,
sweet.
okay, you said something earlier I wanted to ask you about because you're a mother, I'm not a mother, so I can't relate with what it's like to, raise kids and have the stress of parenthood. And like you said earlier, when your husband was going out and you're at home with all the mom duties and you're like, okay, my
Yeah.
wine, I deserve this. And I hear that all the time from people and women on the Sinclair method where even though they're on the method, they still have that like connection. Like, I need this wine. It's my BFF. It's my coping tool amidst the chaos of life. And so, how did you get out of that place of like alcohol being the thing you turned to and something you felt like you deserved and kind of change your mindset into, using other tools or coping tools or just how did that process work for you?
I write. I like to write, and so I would just jot down my feelings, my thoughts, everything, and then I would put them into songs, and then I would just play my guitar and sing these songs. And now looking back, I'm like, man, I need to write a happy song. um, but yeah, I would play music. I play disc golf. I play pickleball. I just found other things that interest me, and exercise. Oh my gosh, you can get high on exercise better than anything, and it's like a double whammy because you're doing good for your body as well. Um, and nothing extreme. I don't. I would just oh, I'm gonna drop and do 10 push-ups. Just things to keep my mind going.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
absolutely. Like being
yeah,
proactive about seeking out these other things that are nourishing or healthy for you or helpful for you. It's like breaking that cycle of just feeling like alcohol is the only answer for
right.
those situations.
Hmm.
So, what would you say, or would you say was like difficult about naltrexone and TSM? Like, were there things that were particularly hard for you the 2 years you were on the protocol?
Um, I can remember one time when I didn't have the pill, but I wanted to drink so freaking bad. And I remember just going, oh, I don't like this feeling. I need to make sure that I always, always have it so that I don't have this feeling. And thank goodness that, I was so consistent with taking the pill. Like I said, plan. I would plan ahead. Okay, when should I take when can I drink, and when should I take that pill so that I can drink at that time. So, and now that I don't have to worry about that is awesome.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling, especially if you're like newer on the method where someone's offering you a drink and you're like, crap, I don't have the medication on me. And you just have to
Yeah,
white knuckle it. Or even when you have it and you have to
yeah,
wait the whole hour. It's just, yeah, it's
yeah.
difficult.
Or it being matched on the counter, and I'm like, oh my god, this stuff is like gold to me. And I would like scrape it in and just, oh, it tasted so bad, but it was like, if that's all I had, and I knew that I was gonna drink, I didn't want to waste it. I didn't want to. I had read that if you do miss a pill and you drink, that it's like going backwards, and I didn't want to go backwards. I wanted to always be moving towards my goal of being alcohol free.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. I mean, clearly you wanted it. I know
Yeah.
compliance is a challenge for some people, but I feel like if you can just be consistent with that one thing, like eventually everything else will fall into place. And, it takes work, like you talk about,
Yeah.
you were proactive about seeking out other things and doing other
Yeah.
things, playing music and stuff. So it's not just kick back and take the pill and, don't do
Mhm.
anything else. But
And I mean, I considered, okay, should I go to AA meetings? But it's like, no, I'm a mom. Who's going to watch the kids while I go to this meeting? Can't go to rehab. Who's going to watch the kids? And so when I was researching, I just knew that it needed to be something special. And TSM is definitely special. I mean, it saved me. It did. It saved me and my
yeah.
kids.
Yeah. Has your family or kids, has anyone like, do they know you were doing it? Like, what's the feedback from the people around you, if there is any?
Um, I I try and tell as many people as I can now about it. But when I was in the middle of it, it was kind of my own little secret.
Yeah.
Um, because I didn't want to, if I did start drinking again, I didn't want to have that, oh, see, that didn't work, or that, you failed again, or whatever. So I kind of just kept to myself. I mean, if someone asked, I would tell them, or if I could tell someone else was struggling with like I was, I would be like, hey, you should Google one little pill and see what you think about it. Just, here and there. Cause I knew if I pushed it on them, they'd be like, what are you trying to sell something? Or,
Yeah.
and it wasn't, I just knew that it helped me. Now it's helped me that I want to tell as many people as I can, because it's a lifesaver.
Yeah. And I did the same thing, and I know lots of others do as well. And I love that about the treatment, that you can just be
Mhm.
kind of discreet. Nobody even has to know you're doing it. It's
No.
just you can do it on your own, and then as you
Yeah.
feel more confident in your results, you can start talking about it more.
Right.
Yeah, so okay. So I mean, are there things that I know you had some notes as well? So if there's things you wanted to talk about that we haven't addressed on or touched on, we can, but I was curious, like for people watching, they may be learning about this method, maybe they're on it, maybe they're
Mhm.
struggling. What advice or thoughts do you have from them, after 2 years on the method and now 2 years alcohol free, and your AUD cycle that lasted for, you said 25 years or something, that's
Uh,
behind you, but you have all this wisdom from your experience. So
mhm.
what would you like to say to people who are watching?
Just to stick with it. I mean, I don't know. I probably would have stuck with it if that switch didn't flip, and he didn't say that to me, and it didn't like piss me off. I would have just kept on going. I don't think I would have stopped at 3 years or 4 years. I think I would have just kept on taking that now and just hoping, but thankfully, it worked after 2 years, and it's different for everybody. You don't know. I mean, you think about how long I was drinking compared to how long it took me to quit. That's nothing, a couple years. That's actually pretty good in retrospect, comparatively speaking. So just don't stop. You're gonna drink anyways. You might as well take the pill, and to talk to your doctor. Tell them, hey, I've tried this, and I'm researching this, and I'd like to try it. Can you prescribe this to me? And you don't have to go in, about, just let them prescribe it to you whichever way they wanted to prescribe it to you. Just get that pill.
I love
And
what
I
you
thought about my last prescription was, I think, I have my two little pills left. My last prescription, I think, was filled in May of 2021. And I thought, man, I should just keep getting it refilled. And if someone asks, be like, here, I got your first set for you, because that is those little steps, like, oh no, I'm not going to go to the doctor and go get, and confess that I'm an alcoholic. And they might be embarrassed to talk to their doctor about it, but I was like, no, I need to try something. So don't be embarrassed, print out those sheets, inform your doctors about it, and just get that pill and take it.
Yes. Absolutely. And, you know, for those watching as well, there's telemedicine doctors that will prescribe. So if you go to your doctor and they
Mhm.
refuse it, there's other options. So if we can help, please reach out. Don't give up. I know how discouraging it can be if you go to your doctor and they flat out refuse. I hear stories all the time. It happened to me as well. So I
Yeah.
know how much that sucks. But please know there probably is a doctor, especially if you're in the US, who will prescribe it through telemedicine, who
Mhm.
specializes in it. So long as you're a candidate, you know, for it, they'll do an medical appointment to make sure.
Mhm.
But you hit on something, Janet, that I think is so important, and I want people to I want this to like resonate with people. How you said for the number of years that you were struggling with your drinking compared to how long it took you to get free with TSM, it's such a small window of time. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that's really important to have that perspective, because, you know, 2 years is still a while, you know, and there's peaks and valleys and people can get impatient. You even said, like, is this working? I don't know. But for whatever reason, you stuck with it. So for
Mhm.
people to recognize, like, especially if you've been struggling with alcohol for years or decades, you know, 1 year, 2 years on TSM is just a drop in the bucket compared to, you know, the time you spent struggling. So
Yeah.
hopefully that can help people have this appropriate perspective that it's not an overnight fix. It took time to develop the problem and it's going to take time to unlearn it as well.
Yeah. And I can remember, cracking, taking the pill, waiting the hour, cracking my Michelob Ultra, putting it on ice, and then just searching videos, TSM stories. Uh, I'd search how long did it take. I was so like, why is it taking me so long? And that's what I would do. I would have my drink and Google and learn, and yeah, it it works.
Yeah.
It does.
And being hungry for that knowledge and inspiration and just constantly seeking it out and pursuing the freedom.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't have to be done overnight. There's no rush
Oh,
to the end goal, like, but you know, being hungry for the knowledge and the results that you're after.
mhm.
So, any final thoughts from you as we kind of wrap up? This has been a great conversation. I want to thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. I'm so proud of myself that I got through it without any tears. What?
Yeah.
That would have happened a couple years ago. I mean, yeah, it just feels good to get it out and talk about it and share my story so that other people that are struggling, other moms out there, other teachers, that are going through this, there is help. There is a solution to your problem. And just learn about it. Don't take anybody else's word for it. Go learn and do your research and convince yourself that you're worth it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, to your point, like this is a real healing journey. And so there might be a lot of tears, you know, along this
Yeah.
journey. I don't know, you know, if there's men watching that don't cry or something, but at
Yeah.
least for me, and man, I cried so much because I feel like I was numbing for so long that I just didn't feel
Right.
emotions. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like, oh, what are these? I don't like this feeling.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow. Well, it's been such a great chat, Janet. I want to thank you so much for joining. Yeah, we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thank you, Katie.
Bye.
Bye.